Go and get help, Lucius, quick! I must have pulled my back out.
Lucius, one of the most unique and unintentionally funny games you will ever play. The premise is simple. We're tasked by the devil with murdering the inhabitants of Dante's manor in increasingly bizarre ways. A trilogy of hilarious highs and staggering lows, with each game having its own specific strengths alongside many, many glaring flaws that only get worse as the games go on. Chances are you've probably watched your favourite YouTuber playing this back in the day.
I will make you proud, Papa.
Yet despite the massive hype and huge initial audience it drew in, it's a game that's never managed to find its footing. And as the quality dropped, so too did the fandom, with most people not even realising that a third game exists.
Who the hell are you?
But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's go back to the start. As the game starts, we find a celebration unfolding deep in the lavish Wagner estate, a sight we witness not through the party itself, but the eyes of a person approaching in mysterious fashion from the garden outside. The party in question is for Lucius's 6th birthday.
Happy birthday, son.
And what a strapping young man he is, having invested his entire inheritance into a lifetime supply of Botox because his face never displays an ounce of emotion.
Man, they grow up fast.
Not only that, but he's totally mute, something the game alludes to being a personal choice rather than a medical or mental condition. Frankly, it's effective work. This dead-eyed little shit really does give off Demon Spawn vibes. I'm amazed no one was suspicious during his formative years. This birthday is an important one though, because the devil is finally ready to bestow his gifts upon us, and after being told we're going to spend our birthday alone with the maid cleaning up...
Lucius can help you with the dishes.
Thanks, Mum. Very kind. We are tasked with our first evil doing, taking Mary out. It's likely no coincidence that our first target is called Mary, what with Mary being the biblical mother of Jesus.
What is it, my child?
Even the name of the mansion, Dante, is taken from the Divine Comedy, a poem about the afterlife and the different layers of hell.
I will not.
Both of which serve to coat this game's star in layers of delicious irony.
It's almost 10 o'clock. Get ready for bed.
Once left alone, we finally gain control, and right off the rip, you can tell that this family is rich. Not because of the mansion and the maids or the fact that they dressed their 6-year-old son in a waistcoat for his birthday, but because the maid is comfortable leaving the walk-in fridge open while she sweeps endlessly. And I mean, dosh aside, it's a food hygiene risk at best. A sin that can only be atoned for by freezing to death. And that's not the devil speaking, that's my own gosh darn opinion.
Please stop tracking dirt over my nice clean floors.
Grabbing hold of a nearby padlock with our Lego hands, we lock her inside, and to speed things up, we turn the temp all the way down as we stroll away in this high-octane cutscene.
Hello?
These over-the-top action shots play almost every time someone dies. They're actually very Hitman-esque in their presentation, which is interesting because, as you'll discover, Lucius has a fair amount in common with the early Hitman games, specifically in that each level, at its core, is about killing a primary target without getting caught. Of course, that's not how I usually end up playing Hitman, but that ain't through a lack of trying. In Lucius though, you have no choice. Where the Hitman games employ a sandbox approach to these kills, allowing for replayability, no, stop, no one's looking at you, Absolution. Lucius only dips its little toe, offering a very linear path and no room for experimentation. But I'll get into more details about that later on. For now, it's Betty Buy's time, so we tuck ourselves in. But in the middle of the night, our true father reveals himself.
Lucius, there you are, and here I am. Finally, face to face.
In a hellish version of our bedroom, we find him sitting, styled like Tom Ellis himself. He hath many names: Lucifer, Satan, Abaddon, or in our case, Father. And he has a simple request.
Each offering you bring me will make you big and mighty.
He needs the souls of the innocent, and we're gonna give them to him. But first, he has a little gift.
I have some things for the birthday boy. There, on the desk.
How exciting! A present from a being with unlimited power. What could it be? A flashlight. Man, the devil is a stingy asshole. He couldn't even be asked to insert the batteries. He's the worst father ever. Equipping the flashlight, a really neat touch is that the shadow cast by the devil reveals his horns. It's only a little thing, but I love that they're alluding to this pleasant appearance being a facade, a mask hiding his true horrific face. Speaking of, when he talks, they weren't able to sync the lips at all, so his mouth just warps open and closed.
And believe me, you wouldn't want that to happen.
Along with the flashlight, he offers a notebook, which is a valuable tool you'll be regularly utilizing throughout the game. It's used to track objectives, conversations, side missions, who people are, and how targets could be killed. Don't let the fact that they couldn't align the journal's text throw you off. This tool is super handy for the many moments you'll find yourself wandering around the mansion with no idea what you're supposed to be doing or who the target even is. Gifts aside, he has one last surprise for us, bestowing the power of telekinesis.
Don't worry, Lucius. Mary is now in a much better place.
Allowing Lucius to move and manipulate items in the physical world, just not throw them, which is a mechanical woe I have to talk about. You can pick up multiple items around the mansion. In our bedroom, for example, we can pick up a beach ball, but you can't throw it. You can't throw anything you pick up. At best, you can drop bottles of vintage Dom Perignon and force the help to clean it up.
Oh my.
But it really should be a development sin to allow you to pick up items and not throw them, especially when you're playing as a devil's child. I know children that are only partly demonic and they love to throw shit. It's just out of character. The telekinesis ability is primarily used to solve puzzles with next to no practical uses. It's a massive shame because powers like these open so many fun sandbox options and we don't get to engage with any of them, relegating this power to several point-and-click solutions throughout the course of the game. Not only that, but it's literally not even used in this first mission at all. We're only taught how the power works after the day ends.
You can train your mind to move objects at your will.
And it's not until the next level that we actually get to use it to make a kill. Why not just hold off giving Lucius the power until its mechanics are useful, right? That's just confusing game design. Respectfully, and in ways I'll continue to demonstrate throughout this video, the whole power system in this game is awful, woefully underutilized and poorly thought out, offering little more than a tease of what could have been, rather than fun powers that complement or elevate the experience. But still, I shouldn't complain. A gift is a gift, and at least the devil's actually hanging out with us. Our own mum just gave us dishes to wash and went to bed, popped the little Valium. But under instructions from his father, we sneak downstairs and grab the padlock, ensuring Mary's death looks less suspicious before heading to bed for real. The following morning, our maidsicle is discovered and a key character is called in to investigate.
Detective MacGuffin. What do we got here?
He gets the rundown from a local copper who basically hits him with the old, you know how old birds are, always dying and shit,
She was in her mid-50s.
Typical of women her age.
before cracking a cold one and kissing each other on the lips.
They're waiting for you in the kitchen.
I have no idea what the writer was going for here. This is a truly bizarre way to rationalize the death of a woman who didn't even look old.
Typical of women her age.
Investigating the crime scene, he speaks with the family and wraps this whole incident up as some bizarre accident,
We'll look into it, but it looks like a case of misadventure.
telling the family to move on and return to normal life. Just, with a few more floors to sweep in the meantime.
Just relax and focus on getting life back to normal.
The following day, our next target is Jean, our father's cigarette-addicted campaign manager.
I could always count on you, Gene. Make yourself at home while I tidy up some papers.
Basically, whoever's highlighted in our diary when the day starts is who we need to kill, provided you can, as I said, read the thing. If you couldn't pick up the vibe I've been putting down, this game is a total mess. So buckle down and forgive me for the cardinal sin of critiquing a game that people have nostalgia for, because it's only going to get worse before it gets better. To play Devil's Advocate, if you'll pardon the pun, it was made by a very small team, Shiver Games, based in Helsinki, Finland. Not only are they a small independent, but it was their first game, so issues were to be expected, although I still think it's fine to discuss the shortcomings because at times it genuinely feels like the developers never even tested this game, particularly towards the end with some glaringly obvious issues that could easily have been fixed if anyone had spotted them. Regardless, Gene is chilling in the dining room downstairs, and when we reach him, we see a brief flash of our unbridled rage. And anger also portrayed in Lucius's journal entry. I hate when he smokes in the dining room, it makes my head hurt. That is our entire reason for deciding to kill Gene. It's so petty, and I think that plays into the theme perfectly. Children are emotional, unpredictable beasts, and seeing one with near infinite power punishing people for the most minuscules of reasons has its own layer of twisted humor.
Go ahead. I wasn't even watching it.
This level is still essentially a tutorial section. As such, this kill is very straightforward. We know he loves to smoke prolifically, so step 1 is taking his matches, a task we achieve by moving very slowly and just taking them. You see, this is where the telekinesis power should have come into play, either sliding them to a less conspicuous place or causing a distraction, forcing Gene to move. But no, we move like Drax at 1 millimeter an hour and just take them, with the lad being too afraid of our father's status to say anything. In fact, all the dodgy NPC behavior in this game, I love to wrap it up as Lucius being like a feudal lord's son. I'm talking like Joffrey Baratheon vibes, and they see him doing all this suspicious shit, but are too terrified to speak up about it.
Oops. Well, accidents do happen. I'm sure it's all right.
With the matches gone, the next time he needs a smoke, he has to light his ciggy on the cooker. And interacting with said cooker, it informs us that we need a tool to tamper with it, when we can find upstairs next to the resident handyman.
Why don't you go downstairs and watch TV or something?
Cooker tinkered, the next time Gene goes for a puff, let's just say, it won't be the tobacco getting smoked. With Gene's face removed, MacGuffin returns, inspects the jacked up cooker, mulls over the second body in 2 days, scratches his head and says, looks like another accident.
This is a real unfortunate series of events. Quite uncanny.
Crazy as this level of professional incompetence might seem, would you believe me if I said he has like several more of these it must be accidents in him? It takes a shocking amount of death to convince this detective that something foul is afoot.
This shouldn't have happened. I had a feeling there was something weird going on in that house. I couldn't quite yet put the pieces together, so I took a step back for a while, let it brew.
In the next mission, Tone Death, we aim to take out the maintenance man, Ivor. And this lad, he's a raging alcoholic, by which the game means he's Irish.
Can't you see I'm performing a delicate operation here?
A stereotype pushed so far that he can't even plunge a toilet without getting blackout drunk. And now look, my dad's Irish, I grew up in the west of Ireland. I'd be the first to admit, the Irish do like a drink. They also don't mind having a tipple and getting behind the wheel of a car, but even still, this is a little on the nose, don't you think?
To be sure, to be sure.
At least have a bit of nuance. The whiskey comes after the toilet plunging, else the spirit fund would run dry. They're not totally fucking stupid. At this rate, I'm surprised we didn't have to lure him to his death by dropping a sack of potatoes on his head. Instead, we have to wait for him to pass out, change his work schedule, and tamper with the piano's paddles. And after he waddles over between blackouts, Lucius can take his new telekinesis powers for a spin. Dropping the entire piano on this man's head, mashing his face up like a, I'm not gonna say it, you bastards. The detective is once again called round, and while he's a touch more suspicious this time, he's still happy to write it off as yet another accident.
This might be the worst case of professional neglect I've ever come across.
Every scene with this detective, it's like he's been pulled straight from the movie Hot Fuzz.
Right. What did he say?
I'm keeping this as spoiler free as possible because I want you to watch it, but in that movie, a big city cop is sent to a small rural village where an increasingly bizarre set of murders are occurring.
Leslie Tiller was fucking murdered!
And no matter how much evidence he gathers, none of the officers will believe his claims.
Murder, murder, murder. Change the fucking record!
The joke being that these rural cops are so used to simple village life, they can't even begin to comprehend a serial killer living amongst them.
Stand back!
stand back, there's been a terrible accident.
I was half expecting MacGuffin to start chanting it's for the greater good every time we encountered a body.
The autopsy on the maid was inconclusive, but we're still working on the theory she had a poor heart or circulation problems and fainted.
Luckily, mission 4 is where the training wheels finally come off. Heading downstairs, we're able to fully explore Dante Mansion, and it is massive. From the well-maintained central garden to the servants' quarters, the sprawling libraries, and everything in between.
What are you doing here?
Walking around, one thing the game does really well is craft a genuine sense that the employees actually work here. When they're not tottering around carrying out various activities, you can find them hanging out in the utility areas, speaking about personal matters or moaning about their colleagues.
He just comes here once a week and gets paid twice my salary.
Don't get me wrong, the simulation is relatively surface level, a little scratch, and you'll quickly find the limitations of these interactions, but it's all done just enough to make you believe that these characters fill some kind of role in the house.
Can you get me my tire iron from the storage room?
That's awful, man.
Speaking of, while roaming the halls, we can bump into our mother, Nancy, who offers the game's only real side content.
Have you cleaned up your room yet?
That is to say, general housekeeping chores that are dished out over the course of the game.
Carry those boxes to the freezer.
Putting our toys away, taking out the trash, brushing our teeth, so on and so forth.
Did you remember to brush your teeth?
All of which raise the obvious question, why would the son of the devil agree to do any of this? It's a total narrative mismatch. Hey, I'm about to use my powers to squash a man's head, but first, let me put my toys away. Don't want my mother to be angry at me when I send her to hell. I suppose if I had to push for some meaning behind this, it does hammer home the fact that this demon is a child. Running around planning these murders, it would have been so easy to forget that fact, and it's the key point that underlines the horrors of this whole story. The corruption of innocence, the contrast of the kid playing with his blocks while in secret he's ending lives in increasingly savage ways. From the player's perspective, the incentives to clean come in the form of 3 unlockable rewards we receive the more chores we complete. First is a Ouija board, which, I don't know, that's kind of a weird gift for a child. Interacting with this item, we get a little clue alluding to the mission at hand. It's technically the most useful item of the 3, although I find the tips can be hit and miss. For example, on the chapter just gone, where we crushed the walking whiskey man with the piano, the clue is, I come in handy, I'm usually small, some people use me when they get a call. What does that have to do with the piano? I think it's referring to the notepad we use to change his work schedule, but we don't kill the man with a notepad, and it's placed right beside the handyman when we enter the room. I'd hardly call it a hot tip.
Fix the piano.
The second reward is the music box, which can be used several times per level to highlight any objects you can pick up or any areas objects can be placed down. It's super situational. There's only a few levels later in the game where it really comes in handy, so it's not a tool I found myself using all that often, but when it works, oh boy, you'll be glad you had it. Then there's the third and final reward, our beloved tricycle. This bad boy will take us from A to B at twice the speed, and while there's never any real time constraints, given you spend a lot of time running back and forth gathering items and clues, it's mega handy, and let's be real, sick as fuck. Also, something funny I noticed is that when you open the in-game map, the camera locks in place, but you can still drive the trike around. But what the child is getting up to when he leaves us behind, I guess we'll never know. This next level, it's a great example of how the mission structure can often be super ambiguous, leading to frustrations. We have to kill the butcher, a man we find inside the meat freezer. He's chopping away and there are so many options as to how we could take this man out. We could freeze him like the maid, we could use our powers to throw him into a meat hook. Sure, it would be hard to spin that one as an accident, but I'm a charismatic guy. Alas, nothing will work. The solution is to equip your telekinesis power, head to the right behind these boxes, aim at the light bulb behind him and break it. There was nothing indicating that this bulb was even breakable. It's one of those you just have to know to progress type situations that don't really feel rewarding when you achieve it.
Why that damn lamp explode? How can I use a saw now if I can't see nothing?
A similar issue occurs a few levels later during a nighttime stealth segment where we're forced to sneak through the mansion without the staff noticing us. Come face to face with anyone and it's an instant game over.
Lucius, what are you doing up?
During one specific mission, there's a storm and the lights are flickering on and off. We need to reach the basement, but to do that, we have to head through our mum's bedroom. Sounds simple enough, but step inside and... Turns out she sat in the darkness, staring at a wall, waiting for someone to walk through. So the natural conclusion would be to wait for the lights to turn off, then run through. But this does not work. She always sees us even in the pitch black. The only solution is to head out onto her balcony, ignoring the door into her bedroom and looking for this power box on the side of the house. Then equipping our telekinesis powers and using it to break the box, permanently turning out the lights, allowing us to pass through. Not only is it super hard to know that without a guide, it doesn't even make sense. It's the same level of darkness whether we break the fuse or the lightning does it. It's so rigid. And this reflects one of the first game's most glaring flaws, its unflinching linearity. The end result is both frustration for the player and, as I keep saying, zero replayability, which makes sense for a linear puzzle game, but this game constantly positions itself as being a sandboxy type game. As I said, we're given the tools and the powers to have some real fun in this manner. It's a shame the game doesn't at any point let you open up the gas and just let loose. That said, if you are looking for a bit of dumb fun, there is a priest wave defense mode hidden in the main menu. Think Gears of War, except every enemy is James Wood from Scary Movie 2.
I came as fast as I could. At my age, the little soldier needs a lot more thumping before it starts pumping.
And yes, it's as hilarious as it sounds, blasting priests as they try their best to prevent the end of times. A janky mess made all the better by the game's fixation on activating slow motion anytime you shoot a fireball. It doesn't even have to be aimed at anyone, it can just be at the ground. In the game's defense, it never portrays itself as a combat experience, so it shouldn't be a surprise that the combat is ass, and besides, I can safely say that getting exercised by a clone priest army is an experience you do not get anywhere else. But back to the replayability issues, the second point I want to make is closely tied to the first, and that's ironically the freedom in which you find the tools or items you use to solve these niche puzzles. You can find almost every item for every kill at any point without any ability to use them until their specific level. Like, you can find poisonous tablets in a secret but easy to discover room in the basement. Then later we have to poison the head maid, but you cannot use the basement pills. We have to wait till nighttime and steal some rat poison from the hallway and use that to kill her. A puzzle made almost unbearable because we had access to poison the entire time. Not only that, but it has the knock-on effect of making you miss out on the nuances of establishing your target. For example, with those pills I mentioned, about midway through the game we have to poison a second victim. But if we had already found the required poison pills in the basement by happen chance, when the mission starts, the notepad automatically begins with half the mission details filled in, acting as if we already followed each mission's steps, including speaking to the target and the secret revelation that one of our family members are up to no good, hence the hidden altar beneath our house. Same goes for the nail gun. This weapon is supposed to be used for the penultimate kill of the game. You're meant to load that level, find a fuse, power up the outside shed and refuel the nail gun in a tense rush, but you will almost certainly have done all this setup before the level even begins, ruining the build up that mission was meant to offer. And before anyone says it, this isn't a case of having a hyper inquisitive playstyle. By the very nature of the game's convoluted solutions, there are dozens of levels that have you looking everywhere for any glimpse of a solution, meaning you're super likely to find all these items even if you're a typically reserved explorer. It's technically a small thing, I suppose, but I wish they found more clever ways of making the items appear naturally, scattered around the house when their uses arise, or failing that, allowing more leeway to use the items as we pleased.
Hello there, little fella. I have a job for you.
But back to the old meat man, we get him a replacement light bulb, and as he steps onto the slicer to swap it out, we activate the machinery, causing him to fall face first into the blade in what looks like a misguided pizza campaign. On the upside, this death does serve a purpose because it gets MacGuffin's ass into gear.
This situation is ridiculous, Mr. Wagner. And And I'm holding off the Bureau from launching an inquiry.
Once is an accident, twice is a coincidence, 3 times is also maybe an accident, but 4 times? This screams bloody murder.
I'm posting a deputy at the house.
Finally, McGubbins is starting to piece together that maybe, just maybe, something's going wrong here, even posting a police officer to patrol our mansion.
These freak accidents were keeping me up at night. 4 deaths in 4 months, all apparent accidents. I had my doubts.
From this point, the preceding quarter of the game is the best it has to offer. The tutorials are out of the way, the house is ours to explore, and we can simply revel in the goofy kills this game is famous for. Be that the aforementioned poisoning of our nasty head maid, causing the butler to slip on ice and impaling him with an icicle, or the less comical act, like using our possession powers to encourage the gardener to ram his head into the lawnmower's spinning blades. Something I love, which you might have noticed, is that during this period, the game flicks through the seasons as the story progresses. The trees are bare and fall and coated with snow during the winter. Sadly, the levels move at such a fast pace that it's hard to appreciate these small touches, but I think it goes a long way in creating a genuine sense of presence.
I know we've had our difficulties this year, but don't let that ruin our Christmas.
It reminded me a lot of Rockstar's Bully, just Bully, not The Bully, may Lord have mercy on my poor soul, in which the passing of time is felt so much more intimately with the changing of the seasons, transforming the areas you know and love into festive versions with costumes, pranks, and snowballs to boot. It's not something many games do, so I always appreciate the effort when I see it, even if we can't throw snowballs with little razor blades hidden inside. Now, before returning to the main story, there's one level that happens towards the end of the game that I want to talk about here instead. In this mission, we're tasked with killing a maid when she goes for a bath.
Oh, the washer is broken again. Well, my shift is over, so it is off to the shower for me.
A goal we achieve by spying on her through a peephole and using our telekinesis ability to drop a hairdryer in the tub. Its dumb hilarity made all the better by the fact that she is never physically inside of the bath. She is always glitching halfway out, suspended in the air. I mean, I guess one of the devs modeled those tartars and they're making damn sure the world can see them.
This case is typical of women her age.
As said, this mission comes much later, but it's only a short one and it's dropped at a very interesting point in the story, so to me it makes more sense to mention it here for the overall video pacing.
Just do what you have to do. I honestly believe we've been cursed.
So, going back to the plot, the next big development happens once our uncle enters the picture.
Oh my god!
A strange man that's been lurking behind the scenes since the very start, locked inside his special little room.
Hey, I'm working here. This is not for children.
Turns out he's the person that created the bathroom peephole I just mentioned, using this little closet as an impromptu prawn creation dungeon. Both a perverse invasion of privacy and a potential EDP indicator, what with a child also using these facilities. Outside of this voyeuristic paradise, he's getting down and dirty with 2 of the manor's maids, and one of which is our target, with Lucius fixing to use her love of Tom to push her over the edge. To do this, we need photographic evidence of our uncle cheating, which is what he's currently doing in the staff quarters with surprising vigor. They are both terribly pneumatic. The camera can be found in our uncle's study, but strangely, Unc doesn't seem to care when we use our powers to lower it off the shelf.
Hello, my boy.
In fact, he's acting rather ominous, or should I say, omen-us. What a fucking awful segue. In case you hadn't realized, Lucius is heavily inspired by the movie Omen, a 1976 horror directed by Richard Donner Kebab. In The Omen, the role of Lucius is played by a child named Damien.
Look at me, Damien. It's all for you.
This game follows the movie's core plot almost beat for beat. There's the demonic child, the aristocratic family, a lavish mansion, and the progressive murdering of all those around Damien. Honestly, it's so similar that I'm surprised there wasn't any kind of grumblings from the suits in Hollywood. I know I mentioned it in my Silent Hill 3 video, but it reminded me a lot of the Bram Stoker's Dracula drama. Back in 1992, the Dracula story was taken and adapted into an almost identical story, Nosferatu. This film ended up a cult classic and only recently got its own adaptation by Robert Eggers.
But I never been so happy.
But back in the day, there was a slight problem. The creators of Nosferatu hadn't got any permission to adapt the source material, and the Stoker estate was less than stoked. A massive legal battle ensued between the creators of Nosferatu and the wife of the late Mr. Stroker, the result of which was Nosferatu nearly being wiped from the history books, citing the minor changes to names and locations as not being enough to claim fair use and demanding that all retail copies be destroyed. Thankfully, plenty remained, and having survived this burning, Nosferatu eventually reached public domain status, allowing the IP to carve out its own space alongside its ancient inspiration.
They say you are a man of good taste.
It was a landmark case in copyright law, particularly in regards to unauthorized adaptations. It wasn't the first case, but it's probably one of the most widely publicized. And I'm glad it didn't, but a similar situation could have arose here, especially with how shitty movie studios can be with copyright claims and IP protection. Where and when the lines should be drawn, I don't know. The difference between inspiration and theft is constantly being tread with damn near every piece of content on damn near every platform. For every Mr. Beast, there are 1,000 platinum head fucks ready to give a Tesla to the last blind person still cupping their balls.
Would you risk Purdy life for $500,000?
But back with Gramps, on his desk, we actually discover a note alluding to the secret chamber in the basement. But we'll get to that in a moment. For now, we have to turn on Naomi Hayward and snap a photo of our uncle bumping pisses. Picture in hand, we hatch a devious plan. You see, by this point, Detective MacGuffin, he's hot on our trail. So we don't just need a sacrifice, we need a scapegoat. Entering Jovita's bedroom, we don't just plant the picture of her partner cheating, we also plant the padlock from the start of the game and the poison pills bottle we used to kill the head maid. Two key pieces of evidence that place her at the heart of both crimes. Eventually, she retires for the day, entering her room only to discover the heartbreaking image.
Oh my god. How can he do this to me?
Running to the upstairs balcony like a dramatic lead in some Spanish TV show, we follow close behind. And once we're there, we're able to take our mind control powers for another spin, interacting with Jovita and forcing her to take a leap of faith with no hay. Also, I know I haven't really given a rundown of what sounds like a super interesting power. Mind control. I mean, the options here should have been endless. If it were up to me, I'd have the whole cast doing the can-can before diving headfirst into a wood chipper, but as I've already complained about, there's roughly 4 specific scenarios this power is used, and there's nothing else you can do with it. I cannot hammer home enough just how underutilized the powers are in this game. Something the sequel actually tried to fix with a shocking case of overcorrection, but I'll have to get into that in my next video. Back with Jovita, once the police uncover all the evidence, the previous murders look like the work of a deranged lover driven mad by infidelity, and given MacGuffin's general vibe towards women, he eats that shit up.
Well, we have a motive too. Pictures of you and Susan Myers and, how should we put it delicately, flagrante delicto.
What is becoming clear is that this detective is in Wagner's pocket.
This whole thing is a freaking mess, and I'm trying to put a cap on it. So both of you listen good. Jovita was stealing from the house. She poisoned Agnes because she was onto her. We'll ignore all the indiscretions in the report for the sake of your family.
Even going so far as to threaten a reporter with a kiss on the lips if they don't leave the Wagners alone.
Now listen to me. You leave those people alone. They've had some bad luck is all. They're nice people, and they need space to get over their losses, okay?
Whether that's through the father's political power or the family's historic ties to organized crime, it's unclear. Although it might go a ways in explaining why this detective was willing to bury his head in the sand for so long. Perhaps he wasn't utterly incompetent. Maybe he just didn't want to dig too deep unless he uncovers something incriminating against the man lining his pockets.
They won't get a story from me.
With Jovita out of the picture, next up is the man himself, old Uncle Tom, who's fallen into a drunken stupor, believing his actions led to Jovita's insanity.
Oh, Lucius, how could she do it? Why would she do such a thing?
It's a truly crazy twist. I didn't realize he was half Irish. The plan for taking out our uncle is simple: to poison his whiskey, the poison for which we find in the underground lair whose location we discover in our grandfather's study.
Everything seems to be going well.
Heading downstairs, we check behind the wine cellar and follow the long, dark hallway to discover a demonic ritual site, which means our grandfather is directly implicated in this devilish pact, even offering up the poison to kill his own son. We'll learn more about Fabius in due course, but for now we take the poison, spike a bottle of whiskey and hand it over to Uncle, who after tasting the poison manages to put 2 and 2 together. He's the first and only person to figure out what's going on here, but alas, it came too late.
It's you. You did this! You little shit!
Taking his last breath, he reaches out, desperately trying to stop us with what little strength he has left.
Oh shit, no. Not this, no. Not this, no.
And as always, MacGuffin is ready to write off this, 7th suspicious death as yet another unpreventable accident. Something Charles actually finally seems sick of.
I want you and your men out of this house by nightfall. There's nothing more for you here.
I suppose there's only so many dead bodies you can see before you start to doubt the qualifications of your personal detective.
Again, I'm really sorry for your loss. I'll say a prayer for you and your family, Mr. Wagner.
I mean, has anyone even checked this dude's license? The best twist this game could have done would be that MacGuffin was actually pulling up from the local loony bin and was just trying his luck.
I've been having nightmares. Terrible scenes playing through my head. And this family, they are the players.
It sounds to me like this family needs help, my son. It sounds to me like the church should intervene.
MacGuffins shoot off, Charles seeks comfort with his father, blissfully unaware of his involvement in the murder.
Have you no feelings, Dad? Why didn't you come to Tom's funeral?
He was a wastrel, and he died a wastrel's death. He was no son of mine.
It's a great interaction because we get to see just how little Fabius cares for his children. There's no love, no emotion, it's cold and distant, with Fabius more occupied with serving his master than the lives of his own children.
We're all just pawns in the larger scheme of things. These people, they're just fodder for death's eventual scythe. You only need to play your role, Charles, and be a good boy.
Cue a cross-garden stare-off. Later that evening, as rain falls and lightning strikes, the reporter MacGuffin scared off seems to think that it would be a good idea to break into the mansion and have a little snoop around. That's genius. Just head up to their house on Haunted Hill with all the missing people and get himself a highly illegal scoop. Eventually, he makes it to the wine cellar, dangerously close to uncovering the truth when he encounters Fabius.
Who are you? What are you doing here?
Here, the reporter makes the 1000 IQ move of just acting like he belongs here, like Fabius invited him personally to meet him in the wine cellar at midnight.
I'm Wayne Preston from the Herald. I'd like a word with you about recent events here at Dante Manor. I tried the doorbell, but there was no answer. It looked like it would rain, so I simply...
You're trespassing. I could have you shot.
But before the man can work his charm, he's knocked out cold by a vintage Pinot Noir. Reporter stashed, Fabius heads upstairs and wakes Lucius up, acknowledging our discovery and telling us to meet him in the ritual site.
So, you've been exploring, and you found the chamber. Well done, Lucius. Get your clothes on and meet me down there. Don't let anyone see you on the way. I noticed that not everyone is sleeping yet.
This is one of the infamous sneaking sections I mentioned earlier. We need to head from our bedroom down to the basement, and the halls are filled with people just walking back and forth. During the journey, if we're spotted, it's game over. Reloading with a good chance to find Lucius clipping through the floorboards.
Come on, my boy.
We're helped during this segment with the addition of a new power, the ability to cause short-term memory loss, which means if we're caught, we can use the ability and have a few seconds to get away.
Don't worry, it's just a shortage.
let's get you to bed.
I'd wager this power was created solely for the devs to not have to worry about balancing the AI or pathfinding for each person exploring the house. Rather than placing the occupants thoughtfully and crafting an engaging pass-through, they just let them wander randomly and give us a power to help take the edge off. They also, for some reason, couldn't be asked to work out whether or not the person being controlled was male or female, so every time you use the power, it always says you take away his/her memories.
What are you doing up? Go back to your bed right now.
What is he? Some kind of demonic liberal sissy? Taking our time and moving carefully through, we reach the basement and find the reporter laid out with
Done,
Fabius
Lucius.
waiting to share his plan.
My two dumbass kids played down in these cellars for years. This is where it all happens, Lucius. This is the heart of Dante Manor.
And it's thanks to his satanic devotion that Lucius has found himself in this mess to begin with.
But it is you I have been waiting for. You will show us all the way. Get this table ready for the ritual while I find the correct scripture.
So while he reads the Necronomicon, it's our job to set up the ritual site. And naturally, this section was challenging because, would you believe, you're given no clues as to what this setup entails. And I know I keep complaining about the mechanical clarity of this game, but I'm sure people will be typing out that I'm just nitpicking, or that figuring things out is part of the fun, that modern gamers are just stupid and need their hands held, which I normally totally agree with. I don't need yellow paint to be slapped on every wall and barrel. I've beaten the hardest games going with a smile on my face, and I'll continue to long into my elder years, but there's a difference between, hey, here's a puzzle, go solve it, and here's a problem with zero reasonable indicators as to what's expected of you and a very niche set of solutions to solve it. For starters, we have to walk over to this here concealed spot and pick up these inconspicuous straps to tie the man down.
Okay, good.
Which, fair enough, they could have been placed a little bit more conspicuously, and frankly, the dude already looks strapped down, ready for a milking, but who are we to judge? What, a white boy can't get a little milking these days? Jesus. Next, we have to take 4 bowls and place them at the corners of the altar, but after matching them up and attempting to place them, one will not go down. So at first, you'd think it was just either the wrong item or another glitch, but if you check your journal, you discover that the bowl has a crack in it and you need to glue it shut before it can be placed, which means if you didn't find the glue in your teacher's desk prior to this level, you have to head all the way upstairs, grab it, and bring it all the way back. After you've done all that, the site is ready to go, and Fabius instructs us to grab the ritualistic blade. But being the son of the devil, we don't take orders from no one. And frankly, he's getting a little bit too big for his boots. So while his back is turned, we gently wiggle the blade into it. A sight so shocking, it gives the freshly concussed reporter superhuman strength and allows him to rip through the restraints. During this daring escape, he grabs a dagger right out of Gramps and wields it against us.
Let's just calm down and try and figure out what happened here.
But worry not, because we have one last power up our sleeves. The power of hell itself.
Holy shit!
Sadly, it's not a power we can pull out anytime we fancy. It only works in cases of extreme danger and after a human sacrifice, aka once or twice in the whole game to prevent us from having too much fun.
Oh, that's very good.
But with our Gramps in the mud and a witness to dispose of, it's our time to shine, blasting him left, right and center as he frantically tries to rush us. Let him get too close and the man will give you the London handshake. Keeping our distance and making sure the power draining crosses remain upside down, we fry his ass. And I mean that quite literally. We spend longer watching his body burn than we do engaging in the entire fight. After this, we get a cutscene of our father who finally decides to pay some level of attention to what's going on, namely the suspicion he has over his father for his unreasonably cold demeanor towards his own son's death. And searching through his office, he finds a book dedicated to Satanism.
The Book of Leviathan, Anton LaVey, Invocations to Satan? Prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Jesus, Dad. What were you getting into?
Joining the dots, he brings his theory and evidence to his wife, who instantly shuts him down.
I can't rule out the possibility that my father had something to do with this. But we need to get Lucius to a psychologist to find out.
Oh my God, Charles, have we not been through enough already?
Yeah, what's wrong with you, Charles? All these dead bodies and now you want to start using your brain? You want to start getting our creepy mute son some therapy? For shame. Give the little devil some room to grow. And after that meek attempt, things instantly return to normal. In fact, despite his growing suspicions, the following mission is the first time Lucius has any real contact with his father, Charles Wagner.
What is it you do all day? Find something to occupy yourself.
A man who is more interested in his political campaign than he is in raising his child. He's gunning for another term in the US Senate, a goal that's slipping through his fingers, what with all the missing people mounting up, his father included. More than anything, his ambition serves as a reasonable distraction for Charles, one that allows the finer details of our demonic behavior to slip by mostly unnoticed. Granted, I don't think a stern talking to would have saved Lucius from demonic prophecy, but for these plots to work, there has to be a clear air of neglect, a set of parents that have no idea what their child's up to and are therefore unable to see the warning signs in their behavior. Anyway, our target for this mission is Lucius's in-house teacher, James.
Lucius, I'm just having a chat with your mother.
A man that's determined to educate our young mind, much to his own peril.
Now our next subject is biology. Do you have your biology book with you?
To take him out, we need to access our father's safe, and after finding the code in his bedroom and distracting him with some important papers,
thanks, Lucius,
we unlock it to discover a revolver. And before you ask, yes, you can use it to blast anyone that stands in our way.
What is it you do all day?
Somehow, the 30 seconds you spend walking this gun down the hallway is the most spontaneous fun you can have in the entire game, even if every encounter ends the same way. You can also repeatedly flash the revolver at James like a pure sadist, just flashing the man's own death at him between sentences. He should be taking the hint. We don't want to learn math.
How much is 1 + 1 + 1?
When his back is turned, we place the gun on his desk and use our mind control powers to bring his life to an end. After our teacher's death, the end is near and the game's pace is dialed up to the max, with our next mission sadly taking aim at our buddies in the garage.
Hey there, little dude.
Entering, we get our standard bloody introduction, but this time, splashed on the wall in blood is the word sloth, meaning Michael is one of two characters in the game that correlates to a cardinal sin, the other being the headmaid Agnes, who died from her greed, with glutton being written beside her desk. These are part of the 7 deadly sins, the others being lust, greed, wrath, envy, and pride. Having these relate to our victims, it makes sense. It's almost like Lucifer is claiming souls that fit some criteria. So it's almost a shame the game didn't make every victim fit the layers in some capacity. I mean, our uncle was a lusty old boy, yet the sin never appears for his introduction despite being a natural fit. It could even have been funny to see Lucius making people fit these criterias in increasingly stretched ways to justify their sacrifice. Like, hey, did I just get told off for smashing a bottle of vintage champagne?
Don't worry, I'll clean that up in a moment.
My. With a wrath like that, you belong in a deep layer of hell, my friend.
I must have pulled my back out.
The goal in the garage is to knock out Michael, the family chauffeur, then turn on the car and let the fumes kill him. Problem is, this entire section is straight up broken. Shock, I know, your jaw must be on the floor. For starters, we need to get Will out of the room and use our powers to make him disable the ventilation system. Except my game glitched out and he would not turn off the ventilation. He just stood there endlessly shaking his entire body left and right. An epic battle to resist our powers that he fucking won.
No.
He never left this animation, resulting in a painful softlock and having to reload an earlier save. Then, if you're lucky enough to get past that section, you're supposed to soak a cloth in paint stripper and make Michael huff it to knock him out.
That stinks.
But you never have to actually soak the cloth. If you possess Michael and make him interact with the cloth at any point, he'll huff nothing and get knocked out regardless, with our diary entry straight up gaslighting us. I have managed to pour paint thinner on a rag. No, you didn't, buddy. Stop fucking lying. Then, when he falls, no matter what, he always falls forward and clips through the table. This is just plain lazy. If the fall was randomly generated based on physics and on the odd occasion he found his way into funny spots, I'd get it, but he always falls forward every time. This is likely a handmade animation, so why not just make him fall backwards, right? It's such an easy fix. How did no one spot this? The final few missions of this game really feel like a rushed shambles, and it only gets worse from here. But for now, the police discover the body of Michael and instantly assume Will was behind it despite his best protest against the fact.
I didn't hear anything over the music. I know how it sounds, but I swear, I'm telling you the truth.
Yeah, right. Well, you can explain that to the judge.
And I mean, MacGuffin believed in the most insane coincidences.
Typical of women her age.
But the second a black man's involved, the lad's chained to a shelf and convicted on the spot. MacGuffin really is still in the 60s time period.
So this is just to make sure you don't go do anything stupid.
Thankfully, he leaves Will totally alone. So we take this one-on-one time to douse him in petrol and torch the poor bastard. Oh, would you look at that? Another freak accident, and this time it was the murderer who died.
What the hell happened here? I left the room for like 5 seconds.
Holy shit, is that Will? I just had coffee with him this morning.
Oh well, the Lord sure does work in mysterious ways.
Give me oil in my lamp, keep me burning.
These two murders are, however, the final nails in the coffin for our parents, with our mother having a mentee be and our father being convinced that we're behind all of it, running off to somehow prove his theory.
I'm going to wait for you in the garden with our son. If you don't show up, then we will leave without you.
That thing is not our son, and I'm going to prove it to you.
This mission is called American Schizophrenic, and it's the mission I mentioned earlier that requires the nail gun. But who is the target? Well, it's our very own mother. She brought us into this world, and by God, we're gonna take her out of it. We're quickly shown a snapshot of our father discovering the lair, hidden beneath the house, dead father and all, leaving us with little to no time to enact our crime before we're given a stern talking to. As I mentioned earlier, for the most part, the start of this level is a dud. What should be an intense rush is quelled by our already having the nail gun ready to go. Now, we just need to figure out what to do before our dad comes back. Do we just pop her in the head, Lenny style? Do we leave it next to her and give her the teacher treatment? Oh no, I must Bob the Builder on my forehead. Turns out we have to leave it on a random patch of grass by the bench that you just have to know to look at with the nail gun equipped. Then we have to wait for our father to get close and mind control him to take out our mother and his beloved wife. It's an act of true cruelty. Even if his dad was a bit of a dick, making him shoot his own wife and framing him for the act is another level of diabolical.
What have I done? No, this can't be!
Having witnessed the whole thing, MacGuffin instantly places Charles under arrest.
He's the
We saw the
Antichrist!
whole thing.
But before he can be cuffed to a bench and left to die, our father breaks both his imprisonment and the guard's nose.
Get
Under
your hands
arrest.
off me!
Stay with the kid. I'll go after him.
I'll call for backup.
With a post-scene narration from MacGuffin, we get the description of a high-speed pursuit which results in a crash and our father doubling back to the mansion.
I was in close pursuit when I lost control of the car and crashed into a ditch. I tried to notify the deputy. There was a chance Wagner would double back to the mansion.
All of which sounds fucking sick, and I would ask why we didn't get to see it personally, but I know why. It's because at this rate, it would have ended up looking like a scene from Ride the Hell Retribution. Charles knows he's been set up, and he knows it was Lucius, which means he's likely coming back for revenge, something the local police officer is trying to protect us from as we enter the game's final act.
Charles Weck, Caucasian, early 40s. Proceed with caution, suspect may be armed and dangerous.
Now, I know I'm guilty of using a wee bit of dramatic flair to pique one's interest and hammer home points in my videos, but when I say that this game has one of the worst endings of any game I've ever played, I am not joking. Our first course starts with Lucius trapped in a small dining room with a police officer that believes he's looking after us. There's a problem though. The room is covered in crosses, like 3 of them, an excessive amount for any one room. Fortunately, our telekinesis ability still works. Unfortunately, we can't use it to manipulate the crosses directly. We have to achieve our goal by making a marble bust float, which spooks the officer into shooting them, missing by a mile and destroying the crosses on the wall. A process we repeat several times, one after the other. It's like a skit straight out of Scary Movie. One that ends when he misses the final statue and it ricochets off a ceiling fan, which then turns into an Apache helicopter and dices the man's head clean off. What occurred to me during this scene in particular is how closely the gameplay resembles Death from the Final Destination franchise, a wicked force that manipulates the environment to take out targets in excessive campy fashion.
Seeing is believing.
And much like in those movies, the game's only real high point is watching these kills play out. All the rest is essentially filibuster.
Did you remember to brush your teeth? Don't make me remind you again.
With the sacrifice in our pocket, our fire abilities return, and with nothing left to lose, Lucius releases a massive explosion, engulfing Dante's manor in flames. After this, the screen dips to black and we're presented with a choice, the representation of which means fucking zilch. There are 2 symbols, one of fire and the other a puzzle piece. Like, what do they even mean? I don't know. This is some algebra type shit and we made our teacher blow his brains out. We're not equipped to handle this. Your selection here will determine the ending you get. And they're essentially a variation of the same, with the fire symbol being a straightforward combat affair and the puzzle piece representing a series of environmental puzzles you have to solve.
Leave you unholy spirit! I command you to leave this child alone!
In the fire ending, we're rushed by a duo of priests that we blast with a fiery rage. The ideal way to conclude this segment, if you ask me. But in the puzzle ending, only one priest attacks, wielding his cross against us.
Leave you unholy spirit! I command you to leave this child alone!
Now surely, as the choice implies, we have to solve some kind of puzzle to defeat him, right? Well, no. We use telekinesis to throw several objects at him, pushing him to the door and eventually flinging him out. Take too long pushing him back or run out of throwable furniture and we have our coming to Jesus moment. But with the way out cleared, the next section is, in fairness, closer to an actual puzzle. His priest friend will run back and forth in the lobby as a timer counts down. We can't use our powers, and he won't let us get anywhere near him. Turns out there's a pentagram hidden in the back of the utility room, and standing in it activates our powers. The entire puzzle here is that he won't just stand still and let us kill him. So it's this awkward game of cat and mouse where we have to chase him in, quickly rush ahead, do a 180 and blow his head off.
The power of Christ!
No! God help me!
Both of these endings culminate in a fight with our father, who jumps down from the balcony equipped with a fire extinguisher. This means that our fire powers are useless. Explosion be damned. The extinguisher has apparently been blessed by Leo himself, which means we have to think of another way to take him out. First up is the combat ending, and it is a nightmare. It forces you to run around the lobby for ages, trying every trick in the book to no avail. And it turns out that this ending is also a puzzle. We have to lure him to the right side of the stairs, equip our telekinesis power, wait for him to stand under this pillar, and then drop it on his ass. Dad squat, we hard cut to Lucius walking out the front door as the police arrive and credits roll. It's as abrupt as you would expect, but it isn't widely regarded as the canon ending. That goes to the puzzle variant, in which our fight against Dad is a lot more straightforward in concept, when it works. In this ending, we need to lure Charles under the chandelier by using our possession ability to make him interact with a bust on the floor. and while he's distracted, we use our telekinesis power to drop the chandelier on him. Simple enough, except of course my game glitched out again and the bust was permanently sat in front of the front doors instead of under the chandelier, meaning the chandelier always missed our father and I was totally locked out of finishing the game until I reloaded an earlier save. A bug made all the worse by the fact that you can literally time the chandelier to drop and land on his head as he walks past, but it will not register without him first interacting with the bust. The whole thing is pure ass to the highest degree no matter which angle you approach it. The only upside of either ending is our father using the fire extinguisher and just swinging for the hills against our dome. In the conclusion of the puzzle ending, with our dad incapacitated, we slowly walk over, fireball in hand, ready to turn that man into Wagner Calamari when he throws a cross shuriken. Now he's ready to end this, raising the fire extinguisher above his head, but before he can put an end to this nightmare, he's shot. The ever-incompetent MacGuffin has returned, and thinking Charles is off his rocker, he mag dumps the bitch. Helping Lucius up, the two walk out side by side in slow Michael fucking Bay motion and roll credits. This is the canon ending, with MacGuffin inadvertently saving the life of the child that caused all his problems and giving very little clues as to what comes next. Much like the alternate ending, it's abrupt, it's awkward, and it's unsatisfying, which, let's be honest, is probably a fitting end for one of the most broken finales I have ever experienced. Lucius really is an interesting game, primarily because I always find myself looking back on it with this comfy nostalgia, thinking only of its better qualities, the unique premise, the goofy humor, the unhinged murders. I mean, even now, after having edited this video, I almost feel an itch to play it again. I don't understand the power this game has, it might legitimately be cursed, but make no mistake, it is an extremely broken and frustrating game, made all the more annoying because so many of its issues could have been fixed with the tiniest bit of playtesting. We've all heard the term so bad it's good, but I'd argue Lucius has its own unique subcategory. It's so bad it's good to watch someone else play. It's hard to think of a game that's more divisive between how it plays versus how you feel looking back on it. Maybe it's a secret power of Lucius, or maybe it's a credit to how unique the concept is. What I do know is that for better or worse, it's burned a permanent place in gaming history. I suppose that's why I wanted to make the video in the first place, because there are some amazing moments that I knew would be great to talk about and for you guys to see, but I also know that most people wouldn't and kind of shouldn't sit through the actual gameplay experience, particularly where the second and third game are concerned. Trust me, this was only the tip of a shit iceberg. But if you want to see how epically those two games fumbled, you'll have to wait, because I'll be covering both of those games in my next video. The Fall of Lucius.